Hindus would find a large number of their customs thrown beyond the pale. So we do know the complications there, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why the government is sitting tight over this matter. I don't know. I can only surmise. But the fact is that it might end some of the anomalies where a large number of Hindu customs have been codified, but not quite Muslim customs. And there are enough examples of that, sir, and I can list them for you. I mean, you have a situation where there's no adjudication of many questions like age of marriage, polygamy, inheritance, property rights, or custody of children for the Muslim community. Now, what explains the hesitancy around codifying their personal laws? It is because, oh, the Hindus will have to pay a concomitant price for a code like this. But you also mentioned, you know, why only make the UCC about one applicable to one particular community? We are not spreading that fear, sir. It is the secular parties that are, the Congress and others, who are terrifying the Muslim community by the prospect of a UCC. They're not terrifying the Hindu community, sir. You know what I'm talking about. The UCC is communal because the left in this country believes it is communal.
I'm talking about a political party.
So let me bring in
that uses the UCC to target minorities without realizing the complexity of the issue.
No, I don't think that is true.
Brings it up selectively on some
I wish we had a BJP panelist here. They would have answered. I think it is, sir, the so-called secular brigade that sees the UCC as a weapon being wielded against the minorities. Who is opposing the UCC in this country? It is parties, sir, such as the TMC, the Congress.
I don't know what you mean by secular brigade, by the way.
Well, sir,
I hope you are a part of it.
We are all a part of it. But there is a pseudo-secular brigade, sir, who plays politics in the garb of sounding secular. And they have done this for the longest period of time. Nonetheless, let me just bring in Sai Deepak. Sai Deepak, go ahead on what Mr. Verma has said.
So for the sake of everyone's consumption, and I think this is something that all of us can do as long as we have access to the internet and Google, just search for the Muslim Personal Law Shariat Application Act of 1937. Can you guess the number of pages this law runs into? 3 pages. The number of provisions it has? 6 sections. And you know why? Because section 2 effectively says that what is personal law shall be decided by a person who is a Muslim and who is competent to act within the meaning of the Contract Act. And what amounts to Muslim personal law shall be decided by a person who is a Muslim and who is qualified to do so. Which means the area of Muslim personal law has been effectively left entirely to the community and its own appointees and its religious authorities. In stark contrast, 4 successive bills under the Hindu Code Bill were introduced in the 1950s. The correction that I'd like to make is that it was not just merely codified. A good number of Hindu customs were completely done away with in the name of rationalization. And what is worse is that the community was never consulted. Today we are being told that from farm laws to everything, farmers should have been spoken to. But when it comes to Hindu law, nobody was consulted. Only 2 people decided this. Dr. Ambedkar is a mixed bag. And in this case, he completely supported Mr. Nehru in his unilateral imposition of this particular position without any consultation because the framework was already ready before the independence. In the 1940s, Dr. Ambedkar had already worked on this. And some of his comments I have reproduced in my book, India That Is Bharat, which positively show that there was no consultation undertaken with respect to Hindus. That's point number 1. Point number 2, and this is extremely important for people to note. The question that Mr. Verma is asking is, why do we assume that this is going to be a reaction from the Muslim community? Why is it that the Muslim community effectively is the subject matter of the discussion whenever the Uniform Civil Code becomes the topic of discussion? Well, on a simple question of a hijab not being allowed in a secular classroom, this is the reaction across the board. This is the kind of mobilization that you see. Are you telling me that when you start a discussion on a uniform civil code, India will not have a larger issue on its hands? When Mr. Vajpayee wanted to bring about the Uniform Civil Code, he was being told, no, the community is not ready. And this was in 98, not in 47, 48, 58, 68, 78. This was in 98. Today, we are in 2021. We are being told the same thing. But the one thing that I certainly agree with Mr. Pawan Verma on is, I don't think the government should raise this issue without any kind of preparation. If it wants to discuss the Uniform Civil Code, people have a right to ask, how does it smell? How do we touch it? What is its flesh and blood character? To that extent, I completely agree. And there's a reason that I agree with, which is consistently, the Indian state has proven to be an anti-Hindu state when it comes to its interference with Hindu customs. Therefore, more than the impact of the Uniform Civil Code on the Muslim community, I am concerned with the impact of the Uniform Civil Code on the Hindu community, because the standard operating procedure of the Indian state, regardless of the dispensation, is if I have to undertake a measure which is specific to a non-Hindu community, I will not be able to sell it across the board unless and until there is a compromise that is made by the Hindu community. Therefore, since this is seen as a slap against the minorities, the Hindus too will have to be slapped along with it. That has been the traditional position. Name one legislation which is Muslim-centric in nature or non-Hindu-centric in nature that has been passed since 1947, which has the effect of imposing even reasonable constitutional restrictions on their religious rights. None, zilch, zero, nada, nothing. As a lawyer, I'm throwing this challenge to anyone who can actually confront me with this. The one legislation that was supposed to be doing this was the Maintenance Act, with respect to marriage maintenance. And all of us know that resulted in Shah Bano, and from there it snowballed into the controversy with respect to Ram Janambhoomi, and we are all facing the consequences of that. In which other country, Mr. Verma wants a specific question saying that Hindus are being effectively used as cannon fodder by a particular party. Sir, I'm sorry to say this, you have to correct yourself on this. Hindus have sentiments independent of the BJP and the RSS. And Hindus have certain issues with respect to which they've been treated in this country independent of what the BJP says and the RSS says. Hindus certainly have a problem with the fact that over 40,000 temples are currently under occupation within their country under the name of the Places of Worship Act of 1991. Therefore, the point I'm trying to make is, kindly do not reduce Hindu concerns to a political party's concerns. There are legitimate concerns. Was there a BJP in place when the Ram Janambhoomi movement started? BJP did not even exist. Even RSS did not exist. RSS was founded in 1925. Whereas the Ram Janambhoomi movement has been going on at least since 1858, when the very first police complaint was filed. So it is extremely convenient on the part of some of these people to reduce all Hindu interests and issues as pro-BJP, pro-RSS issues, as if they are purely political. No, they are very serious cultural, civilizational, religious issues that we have a legitimate problem with. And in every other country, we speak of reclamation of places which have been taken over by colonizers. Bharat has seen 2 waves of colonization, I dare say 3 waves of colonization, the first by the Muslims, the second by Christians, and the third by Nehruvian Marxists, who are hell-bent on propagating the first 2 colonizations and changing the self-image of this particular country and its natives. That is a fact. Therefore, the point I'm trying to make is very simple. This victimhood complex is way past its sell-by date. Because if Saudi Arabia can take a look at its past and it can say we wish to move forward, and this is not what we want to be for the rest of our lives, and this is not what we want to be known for, I'm sorry to say, in this country, where you effectively recognize 3 specific categories of Ashrafs, Arzals and Ajlafs, well, the Ashrafs are basically changing, so it's time for the Ajlafs and Arzals to change. If the Ashrafs are setting an example, since that happens to be the epicenter of the global ummah, I hope that particular change translates to change as far as even India is concerned. I just have one more point to make. In which other country with close to 80% majority would you have expected the majority population to wait for 200 years to get one of its places out of 40,000 places, and that too through the court? The matter reaches the Faizabad District Court. From there, it goes to Allahabad High Court, and then it gets transferred to the Allahabad High Court in 1989. A matter that is transferred in 1989 after 1947 gets decided for the very first time in 2010. You get a 2-1 verdict, you still don't have your land, then you have to wait until 2019 to finally get it. This is the extent of patience. So after having been patient for all these decades, so to speak, or even centuries for that matter, Finally, when the community says enough is enough, we are only asking for parity, not even preferential treatment,